Hello and welcome to the Detroit Lions pregame show presented by Rocket Mortgage. I'm your host, Tori Petrie. We sure miss having you guys in the stands behind me here at Ford Field, but we are happy that we can bring you this pregame show to give you a little bit of a sense of normalcy. Today we will have so much for you in the show. We'll have inactives for you in just a few minutes. We will talk about the Lions matchup with the Bears today. We will analyze some of the players that we are going to see on the field. We will show you pregame warm-ups and get you ready for today's matchup with the Chicago Bears, which starts at 1 p.m. Speaking of normalcy, the players rolled up to Ford Field this morning, and we got a few shots of them walking into the stadium. Hey, it feels good to see Lions players walking into Ford Field once again. We sure miss that sight. This is the first time the Lions will be playing at Ford Field. Obviously, no preseason games. You see QB1 walking in the stadium right there. We get to see him for the first time since November of 2019. That will be a big deal, seeing number 9 hit at the field today. Let's take a look at the inactives of who will not be able to play today. First off, let's take a look at the Bears inactives presented by Henry Ford Health System. You've got defensive end Mario Edwards, offensive guard Arlington Hambright, linebacker Robert Quinn. That is a big one that the Bears will be missing today. He is a force on that defensive line, or on that linebacker position, and he will not be playing for the Bears today. It's good news for the Lions, as we will get to their inactives in just a minute. Riley Ridley at wide receiver will not be playing. Tight end Eric Sobert and cornerback Duke Shelley. Now let's take a look at the Lions side of who will not be able to play today. Wide receiver Kenny Golladay, unfortunately, will be out today after battling a hamstring injury all week. We knew on Friday that Halapulavati Vaitai there at right tackle would not be playing. That's your starting right tackle. So the Lions are missing their starting right tackle up against this tough Bears defensive line. But of course, as we mentioned, they don't have Robert Quinn, so at least that balances out just a little bit. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait to see the debut of number 3 pick in the draft, Jeff Okudah. He is inactive today. He was battling an injury this week. Tight end Hunter Bryant, the undrafted rookie free agent, will not be playing. Safety CJ Moore, who is a big player on special teams, will not play today. Rookie offensive guard Logan Stenberg will not play, and neither will running back Jonathan Williams. All right, guys, those are the inactives for today. We will have more analysis for you coming up in the show, but for now, we will send it down to Anthony Bellino at the Henry Ford Health System Update Desk.
Thank you so much, Tori. You know, it is very, very strange not having Tori or Tim Twentyman next to me down here at the Henry Ford Health System Update Desk, but it's great to have you with us. And, of course, we want to thank Rocket Mortgage for being the presenting partner of the Detroit Lions pregame show. Fans, as a reminder, as always, make sure you tune into Fox 2 each Sunday at 10 a.m. for Lions Game Day Live, and then turn on Fox 2 tonight at 10 p.m. to watch Sportsworks and Lions Game Night for complete recaps and interviews from this afternoon's games. Plus, we want to be able to see your game face. That's right. You have the chance to be featured on today's show. Just post using the hashtag DTE Game Face and showing us your game day energy. Don't miss out on your opportunity to be a part of Lions Game Day. Post now with the hashtag DTE Game Face. And if you are watching from the Detroit Lions broadcast region, be sure to check your local listings and tune into your local Fox station to catch today's game, which kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to take a short break here at Ford Field, but when we return, Tori Petrie will take a look at the games happening all around the league, and we'll get you to our Lions warm-ups as well. All that and more coming up next here on the Detroit Lions pregame show.
Your house brought you together. Like, really together. And although together is great, together with more space is better. With Rocket Mortgage, you get personalized loan options, closing costs, and tax estimates all in real time. So when you need to know what it takes for a home to fit your budget and your family, Rocket can. Rocket.
At Priority Health, we're embarking on a new normal, embracing the changes needed to keep Michigan safe. While that may look a little different for everyone, Priority Health is here to help. With access to the care you need, the doctors you want, and the quality coverage you can afford. So you can get back to this, and this, safely, steadily, and with the smartest health coverage possible.
Right now, businesses need more than encouraging words of support or hashtags of solidarity. Hope won't solve the economic challenges. Businesses need business. And that's what Comerica Bank is here to do. Lead business back. At Comerica, we're providing millions in resources to help drive business to our communities. To find out how Comerica can help your local business, visit comerica.com/business.
All for revitalizing Michigan through the health of its people. All for preventing illness as aggressively as we treat it. All for heart attacks stopped, cancer eradicated, and new life delivered. All for opening our doors, hearts, and minds for you. Henry Ford Health System, all for you.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on food that's fresher than fresh? With the Kroger app, you can get personalized coupons on top of weekly sales and rewards like fuel points, all for prices that are lower than the everyday low. So go ahead, get lower than low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
DTE Energy customers can get their share of huge lifetime energy cost savings. How? By using our website. The Oslin's new programmable thermostat saved them a bundle. And their new efficient furnace earned them a hefty rebate. All over Michigan, people like the Oslins are saving. Why not you? There are always new ways to save at dteenergy.com/saveenergy. DTE Energy.
Welcome back to the Detroit Lions pregame show presented by Rocket Mortgage. Let's take a look at some of the games that are being played out of town with our out-of-town preview presented by BetMGM. Here are all the games that are happening this afternoon. Of course, no games have kicked off yet besides that Thursday night game between the Texans and the Chiefs. The Chiefs picking up right where they left off with that Super Bowl win, defeating the Texans 34-20. You've also got another NFC North game happening this week. The Packers and the Vikings will face off at 1 p.m. We also get to see Tom Brady's debut with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4:25 against the Saints. So lots of fun games today. It's just good to have an NFL Sunday once again. We are happy to have football back, and we will have it back on Ford Field, back behind me in just a little bit. Guys, we'll be back with the pregame show in a few minutes. Welcome back into the Detroit Lions pregame show presented by Rocket Mortgage. I am joined here on set with DetroitLions.com's Tim Twentyman. We are going to get to talk about some Lions football today, Tim, and I could not be more pumped to be sitting here in front of this field.
Yeah, it's just the little things. Like, I felt really great about putting a suit on this morning, you know? I mean, just some of the little things. It's been a long time since I wore a suit, you know? So just some of those things. Look, you were there. You know, I think when this first happened about 4 months ago, I think there was some doubt whether we'd be sitting here today. And kudos to the NFL and the countless hundreds and thousands of people it took to get the NFL and the Detroit Lions to this point. And I'm so glad to be here. Let's play some football. Man,
it is good to have an NFL Sunday back today. And we are going to talk about some of the players that are on the field. They're about to hit the field for warm-ups. Tim, we'll start with the defense. We're going to spotlight a couple of these guys here. I think Trey Flowers is one of the important ones to talk about when it comes to this Lions defense today.
Yeah, really important, Tori, because you just look at where he was at this point last year, and it's night and day. You know, he had off-season shoulder surgery last year, and so he missed all of training camp, missed all of the preseason, and so this was him just really trying to get back into the swing of things, and it took him a little time, understandably. But you look at the second half of his season when he really got going, from weeks 8 to 17, his 18 quarterback pressures were third most among all defensive ends in the league. He was Detroit's best player on defense the second half of the year.
Yeah.
And so now he gets to start that way, and hopefully you kind of get to pick up. You know, he picks up right where he left off. He got an off season to train his body, perfect his technique, some of the things where he was just recovering last year. And so you hope that he just picks up right where he left off last year, and that starts today, and he gets some pressure on Mitchell Trubisky and makes things really difficult for him in the Bears' backfield.
Absolutely. That was one of the things that the Lions need to improve on from last year is they've got to get more pressure on the quarterback, and Trey Flowers is a big part of that.
Yeah, he's going to be a huge part of that, and I think one of the wild cards there on the other side is going to be Deshaun Hand. You know, there's another guy who injuries really took all of last year away from him. I think he only played in 3 games, and this is a guy who was Pro Football Focus's best rookie interior lineman 2 years ago. And so I think that was a big loss for Lions last year. They could really use his versatility. 25 tackles last year, just 3 sacks as a rookie. And he was just trying to get his feet wet. Now this is his 3rd season. I know he didn't play a ton last year, but you still develop as a guy in your 2nd year, being around, understanding scheme and everything else. And so he's really, really versatile in terms of you being able to play inside and outside. And the Lions are going to really use that versatility. And I think he's really that wild card for them up front. Opposite Trey Flowers, they can do a lot of different things. And to have those 2 guys healthy, ready to go to week 1, huge advantage for this Lions defense.
Absolutely, and we have some stats for you on Deshaun Hand, but those are stats from 2018. Obviously, he only played 3 games last year. He was on the injury report this week. We weren't sure if we would see him today, but he is not on the inactives list, so we will be seeing Deshaun Hand hit the field, which is good news to have him on that defensive line.
Yeah, and I think what will be really interesting to watch is where they use him and how do they utilize his skill set. That rookie year, he played a lot of reps in opponents' backfield. So will they utilize that from the edge?
Yeah.
Will they look to get more of an interior push, from the inside with a guy like that? And his game is really similar to Nick Williams for me in that it's predicated on quickness and pass rushing more than run stuffing. And so you talked about it off the top. They need to get more pressure on the quarterback. They need to affect quarterbacks more. And I think healthy Trey Flowers, healthy Deshaun Hand is certainly going to help in that regard.
Absolutely. Well, the Lions made a lot of changes on defense this offseason. Obviously, it was needed after the year that they had on defense in 2019. One of those changes was bringing in a guy at linebacker who has experience in Matt Patricia's system and has quite a bit of experience overall in making plays. That guy is Jamie Collins Sr., who we expect to be a big part of the Lions defense this year.
Well, I think that's a key point by you is not only does he have experience in this defense, but he knows what it takes for this defense to be successful.
Right.
And I think that's the key point there, is he's seen how this New England defense, this Matt Patricia defense, how it is, when it's humming and when it's really good, when it's top of the league, he knows what that looks like, how every unit ties into each other, how they play off each other, how it's just about doing your job. Don't do somebody else's job. Just do your job. Let everyone else do their job. And that's the New England mantra. That's the Matt Patricia defense. It's being multiple. Do your job. Know your assignment and play within yourself. And that's what Jamie Collins brings. He knows what that looks like. Now, you mentioned the production, too. That helps as well. When you get a guy that has 81 tackles and 7 sacks, 3 interceptions. He was one of the best cover corners cover linebackers, in the NFL last year. And then the 3 forced fumbles. So it's that kind of production that the Lions need. We talked about affecting the quarterback. You also need to get hands on footballs in the back end as well. And so there's a guy that both affects the quarterback, gets hands on footballs, tackles, he runs effortlessly, covers a lot of ground. And so he's just one of those pieces they hope has a really big difference for this Lions defense in 2020.
How does what he brings to the table play into what you have in Jelani Tavai, second year, and in Jared Davis, a guy that they feel has been a big part of their defense?
Well, what I think is it gives Corey Unlin and Matt Patricia just versatility. I mean, you look at throughout training camp, that jack linebacker position, that position that you guys, Devon Kennard played last year, that stand-up kind of on the line of scrimmage linebacker. Jamie Collins can play that, but he can also play the Will and the Mike. And so throughout camp, we saw Reggie Ragland play inside, play the jack position. We saw Jelani Tavai, guy you mentioned, second-year guy. You expect him to be better in his second year just naturally from first year to second year. Also a guy we saw play the jack position, play the Mike, play the Will in training camp. So what it does, I think the personnel groupings with linebacker are going to be really, really interesting because what a guy like Jamie Collins Sr. provides, what a guy like Reggie Ragland provides is that versatility. And so I think you can throw a lot of different personnel groupings, a lot of different guys that have multiple skill sets at a defense, and now you're Mitchell Trubisky, you get to the line of scrimmage and you're wondering, okay, what's this package? Where's the rush coming? All of them can rush, so I don't know, I can't just key in, whereas before, okay, there's Devon Kennard, you know what his role is, he's going to rush the passer, and there he is, and I can target him. I think the difference with having guys like Jamie Collins Sr., Ragland, Tavai, is that you just don't know where it's coming from because you've got so many different options and versatility.
And then we got to touch on the cornerback spot. Obviously, you guys heard in inactives that Jeff Okudah will not be making his debut today. He is inactive, so I expect that means Desmond Trufant and Amani Oruwariye will be playing those outside corner positions. Help us get to know Amani because a lot of people didn't get to see a ton of him last year, although he did play some. Help us get to know what the Lions should expect to see in those two new guys.
Well, I think the great thing that you have in Amani is a guy, and you mentioned it, he got to play the second half of last year. You know, he was a guy that, you know, built himself up in practice, started making plays, catch the coach's eyes, and then all of a sudden they were like, okay, like this guy's earned some playing time. And then he got into games and he had 2 interceptions. That was tied with Darius Slay for the lead at that cornerback position. And so he's tall, he's physical, he's got good size, speed, and he's got some experience. And I think when you look at him throughout training camp he split pretty much first team reps with Jeff Okudah. So it's not a situation where you're like, oh no, Jeff Okudah's down, now we got to play a backup. Yeah. I don't consider Amani Oruwariye a backup just in terms of the last month, and just how those guys split first team reps opposite Desmond Trufant. So I think the Lions have to feel pretty good about starting Amani and him playing. Now obviously that affects depth, and so you don't want to have to go through any injuries today, but just in terms of a pure Desmond Trufant, Amani Oruwariye, I think they have 1A, 1B, 2 starting caliber corners there.
Absolutely, agreed. Tim, we're excited to see these players on the field. Players are hitting the field for warm-ups right now. But there are some heroes that have been making things happen off of the field as well. Tim, you know it. You've got a kid who's going back to school. It's our teachers. We want to take a minute to honor these heroes who have been doing so much in the world that we live in right now. So we've been spotlighting a Campbell's champion of the game. So get to know today's champion. Today's Campbell's champion of the game is Nicole Wozniak. We love our teachers here at the Lion. Nicole, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you. It's my privilege.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into teaching.
Well, I honestly don't remember ever wanting to do anything else. I don't even know how I got into teaching. It just was always what I was going to do. I went to the University of Michigan at Dearborn. I was hired immediately upon my graduation, and I've been with Dearborn Public Schools ever since.
What is your favorite part about teaching?
Oh my God, the kids. I just love kindergarten because so much of our curriculum, what we're doing in kindergarten, is they learn best by playing. So I'm lucky that I get to do a lot of really fun things with them that you don't get to see in, say, 4th, 5th grade or middle school. So that's what I really enjoy about it, is I get to be silly and they think I'm really cool.
You were nominated to be our Campbell's champion of the game. What did it mean to you to hear that someone supported you and loved your teaching so much that they wanted you to receive this honor?
I was honestly so shocked. I didn't even believe that this was true. And, I have nothing but positive things to say about the PlayWorks program and returns. It's made a huge impact on my building and buildings throughout the district.
I love that. It helps when you have a great teacher as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I feel just very, very special to have been chosen.
We want to thank Nicole again for her dedication to her students and wish them all a successful 2020 academic year. You can nominate your champion of the game today at DetroitLions.com/champion. We're bringing you back on set here at Ford Field for our Detroit Lions pregame show presented by Rocket Mortgage. The players are warming up behind us. We've talked a little bit of defense. Tim Twentyman is on set with me here now to talk a little bit of offense. Tim, you can't talk about offense with this team without starting with number 9.
It all starts and ends with number 9, as we saw last year.
Yeah.
Obviously when Matthew Stafford went down in Oakland November 3 with that back injury, missed the rest of the year, this Detroit Lions football team didn't win another game that year. So he's the glue that makes it all go, with this defense. You look at some of the numbers last year, 64.3% completion percentage, those yards, top 5 in the NFL among all quarterbacks the first half of the year. So those 19 touchdowns, top 5 in the NFL among all quarterbacks the first half of the year. 106.0 passer rating, again, top 5. And so, look, he really fits into this Darrell Bevell scheme. They utilize play action. They don't mind taking shots down the field. When Matthew was hurt last year, he had 41 completions of 20-plus yards. That led the NFL. And that just suits his big right arm and the weapons that he has on the outside. And so I've been covering Matthew, since he came into league in 2009. And this is the best training camp I've ever seen him have.
Wow.
He has really just picked up right where he left off. He is very, very comfortable in this scheme. He loves the weapons around him. This Detroit Lions team is the only team in the NFL last year that had 3 receivers catch at least 60 passes for 675 yards. Now, obviously, they don't have one of those pieces today in Kenny Galladay, but it just goes to show the weapons that he has and the comfort level that he's got with a lot of these guys. And then you throw in T.J. Hawkinson on top of that. You see tight ends take a huge leap year 1 to year 2, and some of the pieces that they've added at the running back position as well. And Matthew's got some weapons. He knows it, and he's slung the ball around all training camp, and he has looked really, really good. And my expectation for him today is to come out firing and this offense be really in tune.
He just seems fired up to be back to football. I mean, that guy is a competitor. I think he hated missing the second half of last season. And I mentioned this on the radio this morning. 2020's already felt like it's been a decade long. And so the last time we saw him on the field feels like ages ago. And I'm sure he feels the same way. And he finally gets to get back out there today. Mike O'Hara was on our podcast, the One Pridecast, presented by MGM Grand Detroit. He says he thinks Matthew Stafford has another 5,000-yard season this year. Do you see that being possible?
I wouldn't discount it, certainly. Now, how much the run game plays a part of that. I know Darrell Bevell wants to be a little bit more consistent. He doesn't want to just have to rely on Matthew Stafford's right arm. That puts him at risk. Safest thing to do for number 9 is for him to turn around, give it to Kerryon Johnson, Adrian Peterson, DeAndre Swift, and them just to get out chunks of yards and take that clock down, and then you use play action in that big play. So I just from a skill set, what I've seen from him and his comfort level and poise, and you mentioned it with his mindset, I think he could certainly have a 5,000-yard season. I think ideally, though, you'd maybe like those numbers to be a little bit down, and this Detroit Lions team is a top 10 rushing team. Now you're talking about a really dangerous offense.
All right. Well, you guys are taking a live look into warm-ups there. That was Matthew Stafford. The guys are wearing the all-blue uniforms today. But you mentioned that run game, Tim. That's important. Let's talk about the running backs that the Lions have on the field today. DeAndre Swift spent some time injured during training camp. This week was on the injury report, but he is not inactive. He's active today, so we could be seeing the debut of the the second-round draft pick, although we won't see the Lions' first-round draft pick. So you've got DeAndre Swift, Kerryon Johnson, and a new guy named Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, Lions fans might know that guy. He's ran up and down this field a few times, wearing the different jersey, obviously.
Yeah.
But let's start with Swift, and obviously their second-round pick, explosive guy out of Georgia, had the career mark there, averaged 6.6 yards per carry. And what I noticed with him that first week of camp before he suffered the hip injury and missed some time was his ability to catch the football in open space and run away from guys. Look, he's a one-cut, no-nonsense type of runner. He gets into the open field, he's got terrific hands, and then boom, he makes that one cut, and he's not juking and doing all this stuff. One cut, gone. and I would suspect him to be maybe a key contributor on third down. You saw that he was a full participant in practice Friday, obviously good news, and then he didn't have a designation on the injury report, so that's certainly good news in terms of their ability to use him and him to be available. Now, he did miss 2 weeks, and so we have to understand, too, that you're probably not going to put a full load on his plate. You maybe have a handful of plays that you really like with him, to be able to get him the ball in space, and I suspect we see that. And then, look, with Kerryon, it's not a question about talent with Kerryon. Like, he's averaged 4.5 yards per carry over the first 2 years. Availability is the best ability, and that's just been Kerryon's issue. He's obviously missed quite a bit of time the first 2 years because of those injuries. But look, he's sporting the knee brace. He's gotten used to it. He thinks that gives him a little bit more security, and so he's a 3-down guy. He's been productive, and if he can stay healthy, now you've got a terrific combination of young guys in Kerryon, DeAndre Swift. And then that old guy, Adrian Peterson, who all he did last year in his 14th NFL season or 13th NFL season was rush for nearly 900 yards and 5 touchdowns on a bad Washington football team with a rookie quarterback. And so he's still got it. And look, he's a tough runner. I think it'll be really interesting today how they decide to divvy up these carries. Now, obviously, Darrell Bevel's going to go with a hot hand, from week to week, whether that's Kerryon or DeAndre or Adrian Peterson. You're seeing him walk out. Good to see that 28 again, but it's nice to see it in Lions, Tori, and not Vikings running up and down the field. So, look, he's going to be good in the room with the young guys. I think he still has something as a runner. And so what it does is now if something happens to Kerryon, something happens to DeAndre Swift, now you've got some versatility. Now you've got some options. You've got some depth at the running back position. We saw how that hurt them last year. Even though Bo Scarborough stepped up, I think did an admirable job. But when you have Peterson, Johnson, Swift, I think last year to this year, that's a vast improvement.
Absolutely. I mean, you saw Adrian Peterson jogging onto the field there in that number 28 jersey. Tim, you mentioned it. Darrell Bevel jogs up to him in that clip and says, "Hey, man, it's good to see that 28
again."
Yeah.
Well, and he should, because Darrell Bevel was his offensive coordinator in Minnesota when he was drafted by the Vikings, and all he did was lead the league in rushing and touchdowns, and was all pro and Pro Bowl in all 4 of those years that Darrell Bevel was the offensive coordinator. So Adrian Peterson, we talked to him last week, he said having Darrell Bevel here was one of the reasons why he signed. The familiarity with the offense, the two know each other well. He played some of his best football in this Darrell Bevel offense, and so I'm sure Bev was pretty happy to pat the back, see number 28 again, and be able to hand him the football and do what he does.
Absolutely. You think we see all 3 of those guys today, Peterson, Johnson, and Swift?
I think so. They're all active, along with Ty Johnson, and I think they're going to mix him in too. So, look, this is a running back by committee approach.
Absolutely.
Don't expect to see somebody carry the ball 20, 25 times today. That's just not Matt Patricia's MO. It's not Bevel's MO. They're just not going to do it that way. That's not how they want to do it. You can see a guy with 15 carries, 10 carries, 5 carries, be active in the passing game with both Johnson and Swift. I think Ty Johnson can be active in the passing game as well. So I think they're really going to mix it up, and then I think that's a good thing. I think, if you're the Chicago Bears defense and you see some of these personnel packages with different guys, just not knowing, what that guy's going to bring, how they're going to use him, I think you can use that to your advantage if you're Darrell Bevel and the Detroit Lions offense early in the season.
All right, we talked 9, we talked run game. How about let's talk tight ends? TJ Hockenson had a breakout game in week 1 of last year. That game against Arizona, he was stellar. He entered his second season this year. Last year, you're seeing those stats, 367 yards, 32 receptions, 2 touchdowns last season. But he didn't play as well as the season went on. He kind of came out hot, and it takes a little bit of time for a rookie tight end to learn the ropes, Tim. You've talked about it before, about how much there is going on, and I know you expect him to have a big year this year now that it's his second year.
So you guys saw the graphic on that page, right, with the stats from last year? All right, I want to challenge you guys. Go look at Tony Gonzalez's rookie season.
Okay.
Go see what those stats look like. And Tony played in 16 games, and Hockenson played in 12. And then go look at what Tony Gonzalez did his second year, when those numbers jumped up to 60 catches, almost 700 yards. And so you see that year after year after year. Go look at the top 10 tight ends in the league. The George Kittles, Travis Kelce's, all those guys. Look at their first year numbers and their second year numbers. You talked about it. That tight end position, I think, outside of quarterback, is so difficult to learn for rookies. You're essentially learning 3 different positions. And you're seeing Hawk there with the joke. He's got some sticky hands. Look at the wink. Look at Teach. See, Teach is ready to go.
Fun.
He just gave a little look. And that's the key, too, Tori, is he's having fun. When we talked to him early in the offseason, he spent a lot of time with George Kittle, teammates in Iowa, obviously really good friends. George Kittle, probably the best tight end in the league right now, him and Travis Kelce. And what he said he learned from those workouts was, boy, George has fun playing football. Everything he does is so fun. And what he took from that is like, I just got to have more fun playing football again. There's obviously the stress that comes with being a rookie, the expectations of being a number 8 overall pick, and I think some of that wore on him. And then you mentioned off the top, he had the big game, and then he had some games where, you know, teams obviously spent some time on him. He had some technique stuff he still had to clean up, and he didn't have that success, and I think that started to wear on him by the end of the season. And so he said, look, I'm just going to have fun. And you saw it in training camp along with me.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff jarring with the defensive backs. And
the hawk spike.
The hawk spike when he had that big catch over Oruwariye when they lined him up outside. And he just had more fun. And I think we've seen it with tight ends. I've explained it. And I just think he's going to have a huge season. And I would expect him to have a big game today, especially with Kenny Golladay out. He is really my sleeper on this entire Lions offense. I was asked in the training camp live shows that we did from Allen Park, who's going to lead this team in touchdown catches this year? And they obviously picked Kenny Golladay after the season he had last year. For me, it's going to be T.J. Hawkinson. I think he's going to make that big of a jump. I think they're going to utilize him, especially in the red zone. They're going to line him out wide. He's going to play in line. I think he's just up for a huge, huge second season. I got a lot of confidence in Teach.
All right, I like it. I like that prediction. Well, Tim, things look a lot different this season for many reasons, but one thing that hasn't changed is the Lions' commitment to honoring our military. I got a chance to sit down with our Kroger hometown hero of the game, Zanetta Adams, and it was such an honor. We had a little surprise for her. Take a look. I'm joined today by our hometown hero presented by Kroger, Zanetta Adams, the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency Director. Zanetta, thank you so much for joining us. It is our honor to have you as our hometown hero.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored and humbled as well.
Well, we actually have, before we get started, someone who wants to give something to you. He's right behind you here. You might not recognize him under the mask. This is Lions legend Herman Moore.
Oh my gosh, hi.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Very nice. On behalf of the Detroit Lions and for all that you do, we just wanted to present you with this as a small token of our appreciation and to celebrate you. So I will leave this here for you.
Oh, nice.
And thank you so much.
Oh, my name's on it too. That's so nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you. I wish I could shake your hand.
I know. It's so hard. Obviously, he brought you this football. You can't pick it up right now, but it was signed by Matt Patricia. What does it mean to be able to be honored as the hometown hero and, know that Matt Patricia wrote a personal note to you to thank you?
It means a lot that someone who doesn't know me but is appreciative of my service would think of me. And so when I say that I'm humbled and honored, I truly, truly mean that. The things that I've done in my life are not for glory and not for honor, but it always feels good to do that. So thank you so much, Matt.
Well, let's get to know you and your story. You served in the Army, and then after you were finished with your service, you went on to law school. What inspired you to go to law school?
So when I served in the Army, I was injured. I fell from a deuce-and-a-half truck with the rails up. I was severely injured, a couple back surgeries, told I may never walk again, was in a wheelchair. It was just devastating. But the biggest thing is I had to fight for my compensation benefits from the VA. And so I'd always thought about law school, but I really wanted to go to law school so I can help other veterans. I can be that fight for them. So after I got myself together, I went back and finished law school, and my work was helping veterans get their benefits.
Tell me about the nonprofit that you started.
So, during the time, again, after my injury, I didn't know what resources to go to. I didn't have anybody I could talk to about what was going on. And so I went to a women veterans retreat, and my life changed after that point. I got out of suicidal ideations and just really started to live again. And so, but that happened once. So I decided we need to do more of these. And so I created an organization, WINK, for All Women Veterans, which stands for Women Injured in Combat. And I created this organization so that we could reach other women veterans and that we can connect and let them know that they're not alone and they're not invisible.
What makes you so passionate about reaching women specifically in this way?
Well, because I served, and when I went through everything that I was going through, you know, when you serve in the military, and I was not overseas, but I was gone from my family for a year, and you come back and everybody expects you to kind of get back in that role right away, like, okay, like you never skipped a beat, and that was hard. And I don't know if people understand that, but someone who's gone through it, and that's another woman veteran. And so I think that sisterhood that we have is so powerful, and it's powerful outside of the military, but gosh, you know, the things we went through in the military, that makes it even more powerful.
What is it like being able to watch the women that you are helping and see them come out on the other side of this?
It has been amazing. I have learned so much about what women are going through and what they've kept to themselves through the organization that I started. And in the position that I sit in now, you know, I was helping as many female veterans as I could, but now I'm tasked as the director of the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency to help 44,000 women veterans in the state. So if it's not being done right, I have to take ownership of that. So it's really a proud moment for me to be able to stand up as the first female veteran cabinet member the state has ever had to represent the women that I've been serving for such a long time.
You mentioned your job with the NVAA now. What do you love so much about that role?
You know, I love being a veteran who has gone through so much of a path to where I'm at now, helping other veterans see their path forward. And so I love being able to see the veterans see their lives change through the advocacy that we can provide. So that is, I would say, every day that I get to help a veteran has been a day that I feel like I've done what I've been called to do.
Zanetta, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your service and for what you are doing for veterans. We so appreciate you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me and for this tremendous honor.
We want to thank Zanetta again for her service, and we look forward to having her back at the stadium soon. You can nominate your hometown heroes today at DetroitLions.com/hometown heroes. All right, we've talked Lions offense, we've talked Lions defense here on the Detroit Lions pregame show presented by Rocket Mortgage. Now, let's take a quick little look at the Lions' opponent for today, the Chicago Bears. Tim, who is the most important player the Lions need to look out for on the Bears?
Some guy named Khalil Mack.
I think I've heard of him.
He's been known to affect the game a little bit. Like, you know, he's one of the rare talents in this league. One of the few players that have had at least 8 sacks, 5 straight seasons. I mean, J.J. Watts and you know, some of the names like that are in that list of the Von Millers of the league. So, look, he's one of the best players in the league. And so it'll be interesting how the Bears use him. Will they move him over? There's no big V today at right tackle for the Lions, so will they try to get a good matchup there with Tyrell Crosby? Will they match him up with Taylor Decker? Will they move him around? Will they do both? It'll be interesting how they use him, but Detroit has to be really good at knowing knowing where 52 is and keeping him off Matthew Stafford and those running backs.
Well, it isn't just Khalil Mack that you've got to look out for. You've also got to look out for Akeem Hicks. Now, we've got some stats for you here. These are his 2018 stats, considering he only played in 5 games last season. He is back now, though, and I think he's ready to get after it as well. And
what you have to remember with those statistics that you're seeing right now is that's from the interior. That's not on the edge where, you know, you see more one-on-one matchups. This is a guy that goes into every week, and offensive coordinators say, okay, 96 is right here, 2 guys get to block him. And that's just what he sees every week. And to put up those kind of numbers, 7.5 sacks, that kind of tackle production from the interior, look, he's strong, he's quick, he's fast, he's experienced, he knows the game. And when you have a guy like Khalil Mack that draws attention on the side, it allows him to have some opportunities in the middle. And then with those two together, are really a tough matchup, and I think where the Lions do actually catch a break today is that Robert Quinn is inactive for the Bears with an injury. He was the guy they signed in free agent. He had 11.5 sacks with Dallas Cowboys last year, so imagine if they had Quinn on one side, Mack and Akeem in the middle. That's really tough for the Lions offense. It's still going to be tough, but they get a little bit of a reprieve with Robert Quinn not being active today.
Yeah, all of that is a tall order considering you've got rookie Jonah Jackson expected to start at the right guard position. You mentioned it, no Halapulavati Vaitai there at the right tackle position.
I'm still impressed every time you say that name correctly.
I just say it as much as I can.
Big V. I've kind of given up. That's good.
Big V, yeah, that's a loss though, but you do mention it. They do catch a break not having Robert Quinn to face off against as well, so it's a big test for this new look Lions offensive line. Let's flip over to the offensive side of the ball for for the Bears. The Bears announced earlier this week that Mitchell Trubisky would be their starting quarterback. What do you make of that decision, and what does he bring to the table today?
Well, he's had success. If you look at some of his previous games against Detroit, he's had some of his better games against Detroit's defense. So he's obviously a weapon that they have to, account for, know where he's at. I think the biggest key with Mitchell Trubisky, you've seen some of those numbers there, they weren't great last year. But where he does his biggest damage is outside the pocket. I think he's a terrific athlete. And so if they can just corral him, keep him in that pocket, make him to have reads and throw the ball down the field. I don't think he's the most accurate quarterback in this league, but where he can do his damage is outside the pocket. Keep him in that pocket, keep him corralled up, make Mitchell Trubisky throw the football down the field to beat you. If he can do that, okay, you tip your cap, but don't let him do what he wants to do and what he does well.
All right, good stuff there on the opponent, Tim. For the 5th year in a row, the Detroit Lions are partnering with Comerica to highlight Michigan small businesses in the area. And today's small business is Peninsula Plastics. I got to visit them to see a little bit more of what they do. Take a look. This week we are spotlighting Peninsula Plastics as our Comerica small business of the game. But what exactly do they do? Well, we got a chance to come up to Pontiac and tour their warehouse to find out everything about them.
So Peninsula Plastics, we make returnable packaging for various industries: automotive, textile, food and beverage. And with the support we've had with Comerica, we've been able to grow quite substantially in the last several years. We primarily take an end customer's product and make sure that it's securely packaged and transported through their whole life cycle of their industrial application.
Tell me how your business started.
My grandfather started Peninsula Plastics in 1980. In 2008, I took over operations, and since then we've grown leaps and bounds each year.
What role has Comerica played in helping you guys grow as a business?
Well, Comerica from day one has believed in us. They believed in our product line, our company, and our people, and we've been able to grow substantially. They've given us the capital that we need to open a new facility here in Pontiac, fulfill it with the proper equipment to meet our customers' demands.
What does it mean to have a banking partner that's so invested in what you guys do?
Oh, it's key. I mean, without Comerica and Comerica's tools that they offer us, we cannot grow, continue to have the capital that we need to meet the demands.
Well, you are the small business of the game. What does it mean to be selected as that and to get this spotlight for the Lions game this week?
Oh, it's pretty neat. I mean, it's a great way for us to get our name out there and get exposure and be part of opening day. It's pretty cool.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you again to our friends at Comerica Bank for helping us honor Peninsula Plastics. To learn more about the small business program, head to DetroitLions.com. All right, Tim, it is time now to talk about our keys to the game, what the Lions need to do to get a Week 1 win, their first game of the 2020 NFL season. Tim, what's it going to be? What's a key?
Well, I talked about one off the top there, when we talked about Mitchell Trubisky, keeping him in the pocket. Don't let him escape, because then guys like Allen Robinson, who's terrific down the field threat, Tariq Cohen, who's done a lot of damage, a guy that can, when you get out of the pocket, can get himself open in the flat and make big plays. So Deshaun Hand, Trey Flowers, those interior guys, Julian Okwara, the rookie third-round pick, who I'm excited to see today too. They've just got to do a real good job of being disciplined in their rush lanes, not allow him to get out. That's where Mitchell Trubisky makes plays, when he gets out of the pocket. Like I said before, keep him in there, make him beat you throwing the ball down the field. That's one of my big keys.
Yeah, that's definitely a key. Another key, I think, comes in that run game. Why is that important today?
Well, because we talked about Khalil Mack and we talked about Hicks and some of the other weapons that they have. And when you get into a situation where now you're not running the football well, you become one-dimensional. Now a guy like Khalil Mack can pin his ears back. And one thing we didn't talk about with Khalil Mack is just his ability to get the football out, too. Force fumbles. I think he's got a really good knack when he's around the quarterback of jarring that football loose. And so that's one for me, that you've got to be able to run the football. And so they can't just pin their ears back and go after Matthew Stafford. I think they're going to do that. They're going to do it in a variety of different ways with a variety of different guys. And if you can be successful early with that, we talked about it with Matthew Stafford. Now then the play action comes into effect and the big plays down the field in the passing game. But you can't do a lot of that if you don't establish the run first. Look for them to try to do that early on.
All right, one of the stats that sticks out from the 2019 season is how many fourth quarter leads the Detroit Lions had and then gave up. The Lions had leads in almost all of their games last season, so they are going to need to work on finishing this year. That's something that the Detroit Lions have talked about through this preseason. They have said they've got a phrase called dagger time. That means finishing. Tim, what's important about adjustments in this game?
Yeah, to your point on that stat too, 3-7-1 the Lions were when they either had a fourth quarter lead or were tied in the fourth quarter last year. It's not good enough. You got to find a way to win those games late. But I think the key to this year, there was no preseason. And so I know you're still pretty vanilla in the preseason, but you get to see personnel groupings and see kind of some situational stuff there that teams like to do. And then obviously you can see personal growth from players. Did they get bigger from last year, faster, stronger? How do they look? There was none of that. And so I think there's a huge question mark going into this game is, what's the opponent going to throw at me? And how do I counter that? How do I make those in-game adjustments? I think those are going to be so crucial week one and really through the first couple weeks of this season. Detroit's got 6 new starters on defense. Matt Nagy's going to see that for the first time, so he's got to adjust to that. And the same thing with Patricia and Umlin, and the same thing with Bevel. I think just not having seen the tape of these guys, not having familiarity, now it certainly helps that it's Chicago and it's a division opponent and you've seen some of these guys before, but coaches love tape. They're obsessed with tape, and they love it, and they try to get anything they can. There's none of that this year. So you're going to be learning on the fly, and you've got to adjust on the fly. That's going to be a huge key. The team that adjusts the best out here today is going to be the team that wins.
Well, here's hoping we see a whole lot of dagger time this season and not a lot of fourth quarter struggles. That's the phrase that the Lions said that they are using to kind of use as a rallying cry in the fourth quarter to finish games, which is an area they struggled in last year. Quickly, Tim, before we send it to a break, no Kenny Golladay today. What do you do in place of him?
Well, I think they like what they have depth-wise. They got Marvin Jones Jr., Agnew, they got Hall, obviously Quintez Cephas, who I think was one that was pretty impressive, the rookie fifth-round pick out of Wisconsin. He's going to get an opportunity to play today. I mentioned T.J. Hawkinson. We got the run game. You obviously would like to have Kenny Golladay, the touchdown leader from last year, in the game. But this is a Lions offense that has a lot of skill position weapons, especially at the receiver, tight end position. I think they'll be just fine.
All right, Tim, I love it. Thank you so much for all of that insight. Good stuff here ahead of Lions Bears at 1 p.m. We will send it down to the field in just a few minutes for a special presentation. But until then, let's see a few of your posts on social media.
Please turn your attention to the video boards for a special presentation from the National Football League.
At the dawn of the 20th century, America was a country full of promise and hope for many. Black Americans faced a different reality, a nation separate and unequal. Yet their hope persisted. Pained by inequality, but inspired by resilience, writer and civil rights activist James Weldon Johnson put pen to paper. His words would become a unifying call, a hope for a brighter tomorrow, a timeless exhortation to lift every voice and sing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing a rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Let us march on till victory is won. Let us march on till victory.
There are forces that want to take us back to another place. We don't want to go back. We want to go forward.
When it comes to buying a home, they say cash is king. But you're a queen, and that's just as powerful. You're armed with a verified approval from Rocket Mortgage. Sellers know your offer is good, so your bid has the strength to compete with cash offers. Now grab your crown and rule. That castle is yours. So when you need an edge in the bidding war, Rocket can.
Now, while we weren't able to host any fans at training camp this offseason, our friends over at Rocket Mortgage not only helped to provide a behind-the-scenes look into camp with our Lions training camp live broadcast, but they also gave a few lucky fans the opportunity to experience it virtually through an autograph session with some of their favorite Lions players. Let's take a look at some of those highlights.
Keep it up, all right? Keep it up. You've been working hard.
This year is definitely different. We were over at the stadium yesterday for a little scrimmage, and there were no fans in there, and that's how it's going to be for a while. So the whole thing is different for everybody. So at this point in this year, we're just adapting to anything that comes our way and trying to make the best of it.
Jessica says, I have a nephew that enjoys football but is a bit discouraged and wants to give up playing. How would you encourage him to stick with it?
It's a sport that takes everything you got. You know, you can't be half-hearted in it. So if your nephew's not into it all the way, I would maybe search out to try to, you know, find something that they really enjoy. But if they're just kind of discouraged because they had a rough day, let them know we all have those. I have rough days all the time, whether it be on the practice field or in front of, you know, millions of people watching at home. So best thing to do is to get back to work, go back to it. And if you love doing it, that's something that, you know, can keep you going.
Yeah, lead, there we go.
Just want to say we'll miss all y'all in the stadium. I know that, but appreciate the support from home.
Now all morning, fans have been submitting photos showing their game day energy using the hashtag DTE GameFace. And you can do it from your phone. That's right. Just post your pictures, hashtag DTE GameFace to be a part of today's game with your DTE GameFace. And make sure you tune into the home of the Detroit Lions after the game on WJR AM 760. You'll get all the latest info on the game, plus hear from Coach Patricia and many of your favorite Lions players. That's the Lions postgame show on WJR AM 760, the radio home of the Detroit Lions. And this season, there are even more ways to get into the game thanks to Lions Bingo, presented by BetMGM. Lions fans can play along all season long for free for the chance to win great prizes, including the grand prize each week of an MGM Resort Strip package. Just download the Lions mobile app and register to play Lions Bingo each and every week. Play alongside during the game, and once you hit bingo, your score is courtesy of your friends over at BetMGM. Learn more and lock in your Lions Bingo board before kickoff today by visiting the official Lions mobile app now. And just another reminder, we are incredibly grateful to Rocket Mortgage for being the presenting partner of today's Detroit Lions pregame show. Let's send it back over to Tori Petrie, standing by.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Let's take a look at our projecting starting lineups on offense today, presented by Ford. Let's look at the offensive line. First, you have offensive tackle Taylor Decker, guard Joe Dahl, center Frank Ragnow. At the right guard position, you've got rookie Jonah Jackson. At right tackle, it's expected to be Tyrell Crosby in light of Halapoulivaati Vaitai being out. Backs and receivers, Marvin Jones Jr. at wide receiver, TJ Hawkinson at tight end, Kerryon Johnson at running back, Jesse James at tight end, and you have Danny Amendola at that other wide receiver spot. Then at the quarterback position, the one and only Matthew Stafford, number 9, will be back on the field for the first time since November of 2019. Man, that is exciting to think about. It is almost game time here at Ford Field, so let's get hyped for this game, shall we? Let's take a look at the game trailer presented by Gatorade.
We have some of the best fans in the league. They bring that energy during the game, and you know, those are the things that you can't really replicate. Definitely going to miss them.
We're going to have to go out and play. We're going to have to create our own energy. We're going to have to stay energized the whole game, and with these type games, it really does come down to the team that wants it more.
I mean, obviously, we're going to miss our fans a tremendous amount, and I know they're going to be right there cheering for us all the way through.
Is real, you know, you feel it all throughout our bodies. I know we still gonna bring it, we still gonna play like the fans are there.
We're used to things being a little bit different, but you know, the one place where there's no change is in between the white lines. We're excited just to get out there, go against another team, go compete, go play, and go win.
We know what's in front of us. No question, last year was stung. But this is a new year, new group of guys in this locker room. We're excited about it, but we got to go out there and prove it.
Hey, this is what we work for, right? Opportunities like this, set your mind to it, let's go.
If we max out, they can't match our intensity. We know that. We don't work too hard.
It's time to show the world what we got. Black and blue division, motherfuckers.
We're definitely excited. It's going to be big. You know, you look to the left, you look to the right, and we have ballers.
The pocket to left, is going to get hit, going to go down. Trey Flowers got it. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. TJ Hawkinson on the other end. Kerryon
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Detroit Lions pregame show presented by Rocket Mortgage. We have had a fun time with you guys, and now it is game time. The game kicks off at 1 p.m. Be sure to tune in to your local Fox station if you are in the Lions broadcast area. Be sure to check your local listings for that, and we will see you right back here next week. Football is back.